Evening, Alison. Okay, so it looks like Facebook is playing. If things go a little bit slow, we got back off holiday last night and got up this morning and we have no internet whatsoever. So everything is being done via hotspot from my phone. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. They can't get anybody out to look at it till tomorrow morning, but hey ho. These things are sent to try us and remind us what life was like before we all had broadband fast internet. So, evening Wenche. Evening Renee. Have you not seen this paper before, Renee? It may have done, but because of the hotspotting, it's taking quite a while for things to upload. Because currently everything, my computer, my phone, everything's being hotspotted from my phone, so it is on its way. But like I say, we've no broadband, so it's like going back to the old days of dial-up internet, for those of you that remember those. So, just as a quick reminder, I just got, no, that's fine. So we've done pages 1 to 3 and we've done the covers. Just before we go on, I don't know how many of you, when you're out and about, and certainly if you're away, collect bits of ephemera from when you went away. So we've been to the Greek islands and we weren't lucky enough to see the baby hatchling loggerhead turtles. They do block off the beaches, so I couldn't get photographs of them. And then I found this postcard and I thought, actually, they're a really good size for putting in your memory albums or on a scrapbook layout. So I thought, well, I couldn't get the photos that clear anyway. So yeah, I decided to just buy that and use those, because they do feel like photographs, and they are, oh, it's in Greek. Yeah, it's a special photographic coating on it. So if you're out and about and you can't get to see, or you can't get a decent picture while you're away, that's another good idea. If you see something that you would normally see if your camera was in the right place. Because we flew out early in the morning, we were allowed to check in our bags the night before, so I've saved that as well, because why not? And while we were away, there was a really nice Greek restaurant that did the Greek gyros, and when they folded it up, they actually wrapped them in this paper so you could hold it together, a bit like the old-fashioned chips in newspaper. But obviously the one we'd used was all greasy. So I asked the waitress and she looked at me and she said, why do you want one? And when I explained it to her, she said, that is such a good idea. So she went and got me a brand new sheet of the paper. So at some point, that is going to go on either in the book that we've got that I will be making for the holiday, or if I do a scrapbook page, I was thinking I can cut these bits out and use these as accents on the page, and then cut these out. But she was really excited to see what, you know, what other people would do with things like that. So just a couple of top tips, and something else that I haven't actually brought up with me. While we were there was a turtle sanctuary, and I don't know if it's fortunate or not, they didn't actually have a turtle in the sanctuary for us to see, but that's because there wasn't one poorly that they could that they were going to look after. So I think it's good that they didn't have anyone that was injured or poorly, but it was bad that I didn't get to see one up close. But they had, I think they were selling them as like key rings with the little turtles on and the name of the island, and I think they weren't very expensive. I meant to bring it upstairs, but I've not got it. But actually, when I looked at them, they would make really good book charms, and they're ready done for you, so you don't have to use your pliers and things like that. So if you're out and about and you see some, just be thinking that, because my hubby said, well, get one for your car keys, and I'm thinking, no, it's going in a book. So yeah, you can often pick things up that you perhaps weren't, it's not the actual reason for it being made. So just something to keep in mind. So we've got our card from last week before, and we've got our bits of paper that some that I've cut up and some that I haven't yet. So we finished on the back, and that's upside down. Yeah, so we finished on the back of page 3. So I'm going to pop them to one side, and we're going to work on the front of page 4. Now, I think if you remember, all these little offcuts of your pattern paper, they will come in handy either for this section here, obviously that bit because it's the wrong aspect, but it will also come in handy for these little bits at this side. So keep hold of them till the end, and then you'll be able to look through and decide which bit you want where. So I'm gonna do this one now. Inside, I think I'm going to do the same and use this to go all the way down. Just bear with me, I'm just going to shut the window. You've got children outside, I can't hear myself think. And then, of course, with it being school holidays, they're out later as well. So, she says, reminding herself of the width. The pages are 5.5 inches across. So I'm going to trim this down to just under the 5.5 mark. Okay, so again, this bit can be used either side really. Pop this away. There we go. So, evening, Helen. Are you back from your holiday in Wales. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my pencil, which I'm going to use. So I'm just going to line this up. Might actually trim a little bit more off. Yeah, I believe you've had some really nice weather over here as well. I do like warm weather, but I think one of the days we were on one of the Greek islands, it was 38 degrees, but they had a feels like temperature of about 42, which, you know, is a little bit too hot even for me. So I'm just going to trim that down. Make sure that's straight. So that's our top piece to go on there, and then keeping it flowing all the way down. I'm just going to make a mark there. And that will fit just on there, and then again just going to line this one up and make a mark where I'm going to go to there. And again, we've got a little offcut that can be then used for decorating on the edges. So, has anybody else been crafting, doing anything interesting over the past week and a bit? I did while we were away. We went on a boat trip, and I went swimming through some of the sea caves just off Zakynthos, and it was amazing because you can actually see what's in there without, you can't get to it without swimming in the sea. And I was a bit hesitant because I can swim, I just haven't swum for such a long time that I wasn't sure how I would go, but I was determined to do it. I'm just gutted that I didn't think we do have, what's it called, a waterproof camera or an underwater camera. Just like a normal camera, but it's got special seals and things around it. And I didn't take it with me when I went through the caves, which was a really, really silly thing to do. But it just never entered my head to take the camera with me. So we will be going back. I have told the husband. But next time I'm going to take, because while we were swimming, obviously we went through some of the caves, and they had now I have to think, the stalactites and stalagmites, whichever ones come down as you were swimming through the caves, there were some hanging down, which were amazing to see, but obviously I didn't get any pictures of them. So I mean, that's a good enough, not getting the right pictures I think is a good enough excuse to book another holiday. So we'll just tell the hubby later. Ooh, Wenche, have you posted in the group which albums you've made and which albums, what the boxes look like for the albums that you've made? Are they small albums, big albums, or maybe one of each? And if anybody's actually making along with this in different papers or the same papers, sometimes if you're making the same book in the same paper range, but you then use different papers on different pages of the book, it can look a lot different than, you know, even though it's the same book and the same paper range. If you use, I think with this collection, you can either use a bluey and use all the blue papers, or you can use more of this coloured paper. I've mixed and matched, but depending on which one you prefer, they can look quite different. So just, that's something else to bear in mind. So there we go, we've got our paper. Now, because this is going to go opposite like that, she says, I'm going to go with a bluey tone paper because it's going to go better than if I put that one opposite. So I think I'm going to use that one, but I am going to double check, and I did remember to remove the pages that I wanted for the front and back, so I'm not going to nah. And the good thing with this Stamperia paper as well is you do get your, they're not quite 6x4 cut aparts, but they are, I think they're 5 1/4 by 3 1/2, so almost. And then you've got your pocket here and these that you can cut out, your tags, and then all your bits of ephemera, which are actually, that's the inside of the back page, and you've got your piano bit up down the side. So yeah, I'm going to use this one. So 10 by 10 inches, that's pretty. I don't think that classes as a mini album. I think that's a bit of a chunky monkey, that, rather than a mini album. That's really big, but I bet it's great for putting photos in. So yeah, so the top flap is 5 1/2 inches across. So I'm gonna go just under the 5 1/2, so it's like 5 3/4 inches. So, and because it's longer, I can line this up. Just realised what that white card was for on my desk. So I can line that up like that, and then I know that needs trimming to about there. And just pop white card in again, line that up, and just make a pencil mark where you want that to be trimmed off. And again, keep these smaller pieces to decorate the ends and things. So I got quite excited when we were away. I'd ordered some papers for our October crafting weekend. So I'd ordered the papers for the scrapbooking kit. I was tracking it when I was on holiday, and then I got a message off my son to say that they'd arrived last Friday. So I thought, oh great, I can get quite excited with them when I get home. So I managed to open the box this morning, and it's beautiful papers, really nice collections, only it's not the ones that I've ordered. When I've looked into it, I think I've got somebody else's order, but I don't know whose order I've got. And because the collection's from Simple Stories, it could be a shop anywhere in the world, so I'm waiting on them to send me the right collections that I've ordered, and then find out what they want me to do with all these, which is a bit of a shame. So pop this down. So yeah, that's the 24th and 25th of October. If you're in the UK, it's £25 for the weekend, and you get your table space, the important things, tea and coffee facilities with biscuits, because you can't craft without a good selection of biscuits and without a good supply of tea and coffee or juice. Although October might be a bit chilly, so I think we'll be going with hot drinks. And then, like I say, we will have the scrapbook kits when I get the correct papers, and then that's for the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, just let me get that square, there will be a mini album kit. So we'll be making the album up on the Sunday, and then we may get it decorated, or we may get it base decorated, but then you can then just go on and excuse me, just finish off titivating and putting all the lots and extra bits on, like your rub-ons and things like that, when you get home. So really looking forward, well, I was looking forward to it. Now I've got to wait until the right collection arrives, and I'm not very patient. So if you, for instance, let me get a piece of, don't really want to use that one. That's not quite wide enough. So one of these, upside down, would fit just there. So that would, I would probably use a different, blue's a bit too plain, but just to fill that in, because that's going to be showing from the outside of your book when you've put everything together. So we'll do that maybe next week, maybe the week after. So that's the front of page 4. Okay, so excuse me, The back of page 4 is the door pockets. They fall out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're now going to be working on this page where you've got, if you take the photo mat out, you've got your 2 doors. There'll be a photo mat in there. And again, you've got your 2 slanted pockets, and the photo mat and tag there just keeps those doors together. Okay. So for this, we need to cut. Oops, get my black card. So we're going to cut the doors. I know they're not really doors, they're flaps, but it kind of made sense in my head. So we're going to cut 2 at 5.5. And then we're going to cut these at 3¼ inches. So again, just make sure that's straight. And then we're going to score these. Where's my bottle tool? So we're going to score these at 1/2 inch, whoops, on the 3¼ inch side. Okay. Pop your scoreboard down. Oops. So I'm just going to burnish those down, make sure you've got a good crease, and so we're going to pop 1 on that side and 1 on that side. So I'm just going to pop the glue on, and line that up, hold it in place and just burnish that down. Now what I'm going to do to make it easier to see is use a different piece of white card that's a little bit smaller. So again, we're just popping the glue on. And lining that up. So just because of the width of the folds for your hinges there, you will get a very slight, about 1 millimetre gap down the middle. And I found that works. If it doesn't matter. It's just the width of the crease on there, because everything else is the same, is the right size. So, but if they're too long, they'll catch on each other. So it's better to do it where they're free from each other, and do it that way. It's very quiet on here tonight. Is nobody talking? Is it just me? Excuse me. So now we're going to do the pockets that go on the front of the doors. So for these pockets, use the piece of card that we've left. So we want to cut 2 at 4 by 3 1/4. So if you cut your cardstock down to 3 1/4 and then turn it round, and we're just going to cut it at 4 inches. And then we're going to score on 2 adjoining cut. So we're going to score along the short edge and along the long edge at 1/2 inch. So just turn it around 90 degrees and do that on both of them. Okay, now when we're making these, make sure your corners are on the outside edges, and get your scissors, of which I've got about 4 pairs on the go at the minute. So we're just going to cut up to where the score lines interchange, and then just twiddle your scissors a little bit so we get that nice flat corner. Then where's my pencil? Let's have a quick read. I can't wait to see these albums, Wencha. I remember doing one album that was 10 by 10, and it was beautiful. I did it for my son's fiance, and it's a beautiful album, but it was very big, and trying to move it around when you're putting things in, it was a bit big, but they are lovely. Helen, oh yes, there is a crop on Saturday. Helen, are you going to escape the children and come to see us? So where your mitered edge is, you've got your mitre here. So from the opposite corner from what you've cut it off, you're going to measure 1 inch in at the top and 2 inches down. And then we're going to cut that corner off. Okay, so exactly the same on the opposite one. We're going to measure in 1 inch from that side and 2 inches down. And again, just line those up. And that's the bit we're going to cut off. And Helen abandoned the boys for themselves. Come and have a girly day. Just straighten that up. And then do exactly the same on this side. Line it up. And there you go. Just pop your offcuts in the bin. I'm just going to get my rubber, and I can still see some of that white pencil mark, so I'm just going to rub that off. And then again, we're just going to fold those over and burnish them down. Okay, so we've got one for that side. And oops, one for this side. And I've done that deliberately to show you that if you accidentally make your doors and think, oh, I've done 2 left and no right, if you flip that over and fold them back on themselves and give them a good burnish, then they will. So you didn't see I went wrong then, I just showed you how to put it right if you do. So we've got our piece of white card here. I'm going to move it more to the bottom because this is where the pocket's going to be. So again, pop your glue on. And line it up with the bottom of the page and the hinge on the corner, and then just hold that in place and then burnish that down. So you can see there that your pocket is on the bottom of that page. So I'm going to swap that over. I know I use these bits of white card because sometimes it's difficult to see when you're putting pockets, black pockets on black papers, black cardstock. If this is helping you, great, let me know. If it isn't, and you think there could be something better that would show up better for you on screen, drop me a message, let me know what you think would show up better, because I can only go off what I can see on screen. So yeah, so now you've got your 2 pockets that just meet up like that. There we go. Okay. So, on some reason this is, that's why. There we go, it was just a bit creased at the corner. So, for the inside, if you can't read music like I can't, look for the words and see if they're the right way up. So I'm going to use that piece on the inside. So I'm going to trim it down to about there. And on there at the top to trim that down. Okay, so again, just move those out of the way for now. Oops, and we'll come back to them at a later, no, maybe next week, maybe the week after. Oh, it'd be lovely to see if you can escape, Helen. So again, just going to pop some glue on. Oops. Line that up. So we've got that in there. Now, trying to be neat and tidy, but this is me, it doesn't always work. So I think I'm going to use that section there for the left hand door. So I'm going to trim that down. So that's going to go on that side, and then following that through, that one's going to go on that side. So again, we're just going to trim that down. Helen, have you finished your field notes folio yet? Or am I not allowed to ask? Okay, so again, just ink the edges. And they're just going to go on the inside there. Very nearly, that's good. So I'm just going to get glue all over my fingers. So that's one. I know when I came home, a few of the neighbours were saying, "Oh, it's been really, really cold here," and I'm thinking, actually, it's very, very nice because it's not 40 odd degrees. But it does feel different at home than it does when you're away. When you're away, you can just roll into the swimming pool or the sea, and you don't have to worry about working. Hi Nicole, don't worry about being late, you can always catch up. So we've done the inside. Now you can either put a photo mat in there and just leave it in there, or you could use one of the tags and attach it here on two sides and tuck your photo mat behind. I'll show you that when we come to decorating in more detail. So the front, have I got enough? Right. So what I'm going to do for the front of this, I'm going to stick my white card in again. I'm going to use this top corner of the page. So I'm going to line it up, and hi Nicole, don't worry, I'm going to put a pencil mark and just trim that down. So that's going to go on there like that. Now, what I'm now going to do is move that up a touch, just make a mark to trim the bottom edge of that off, which I'm going to use some of the splat, but never mind. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that inside the pocket, make sure it's lined up straight, and just make a pencil mark. Ooh, she says, like that. Get your scissors and just follow along your pencil marks, just slightly to the inside of them. Okay, I'm going to rub that pencil mark out. So that piece now is going to sit there like that, and when your pocket's over, you're not going to see inside it. And by doing it this way, it means that the pages flow. You can literally just put one piece in at the back, glue that in, and then do your pocket piece on the front from a different piece of paper. But nobody's ever going to see that piece of paper inside the pocket. And if you are, I mean, on this kit, you're not short of papers, just because they were the 12 by 12 papers. But if you are using a smaller collection, you haven't quite got enough, that's a really good way of doing it. Now with this, I did leave it a little bit longer just in case, so I know now I can just trim off. I don't even think it's 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to trim that bit down. Pop that on there, line that up. So exactly the same on the other one. Let me just make sure I've not spun that round. Nope, it's fine. In fact, I am going to turn it round just because I want this small, there's a word there, but I also want this splash of blue at the bottom. So let's just measure that up and trim that off. So you can use the papers to your advantage, or to what looks right to your eye. So by doing that way, I want that piece at the bottom to tie in with that. So again, I'm just going to slide that into the pocket. And I'm just going to draw your pencil line like that. And again, we're just going to cut just inside that pencil line, like that. So let me rub that pencil line off there. So that's just going to sit nicely on there. So ink your edges up. And oops, we're going to pop your glue on the back. Line that up. Again, if you're not sure, like that one is not quite straight, so you can just adjust that while the glue's still wet and move that down. Like that. And then this top piece, I might actually just move that down like that. So when the door's closed, so I'm just going to just ink these edges up. Pop your glue on. And again, I'm just going to slide that in place. Make sure it's straight. I've got a pencil on there. So there you go. Just have a quick drink because I can't. Okay, so we need to make our photo mat to keep it closed. So our photo mat is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay. What about this one? So that one's gonna go just about there. So now our 5 1/4 inch photo mat is going to slide down, and that will just fit in there and keep those two doors closed for you. And then if you pull that out, your door's open. Like I say, we'll do more on the inside when we come to our fancy decorating. Okay, so that's the back of page 4. Now, the front of page 5 is different to that. So it's the only one where it's they're not mirror images, if you like. So one, two, three, four. So this is the front of page 5. We'll just cut it and score it for now, and then I'll show you how to assemble it and put it in the book next week. So this section opens out that way. No, it doesn't. Let me get it the right way. Opens up that way and then opens out that way. So you have 4 spaces to put photo. That's actually a piece of, it's one of the rub-ons. So you can pop that in like that. Now, it's better to decorate this in place. That way you don't run the risk of putting a piece on upside down. So it opens up that way and then that way. It is quite straightforward, but it can get tricky. It only takes one little bit twisted and it can end up not working. So, and like I say, these little bits that you've got cut off, I don't know if they're showing on there, the little bits will go inside there, and then the bigger bits just go along that extra pocket, just so you've got, and obviously all these white and black pieces are your photo mats. Okay, so let's get my black card. So for this, we're going to cut one at 10.5 by 8 inches. So that's, if you're working in the US, that's your normal that's your normal letter size width by 10 inches. If you're UK, it's just trimming your A4 cardstock down slightly. So on your 10.5 inch side, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, and at 5.5 inches, which is annoyingly the very middle of this board. There we go. And then you're going to spin it round to the 8 inch side and score it at 4 inches. Okay, so make sure your 1/2 inch score is at the right hand side of the paper. Okay, so what you need to do now, where you've got this 1/2 inch gusset at the top, that section needs to be cut out. So I'm just going to cut along there. Yeah. And then I'm going to use my trimmer just because it's easier. So I've cut that top piece off there, so you can see that's where that's come from. Okay, if I'm going too fast for anyone, please let me know. And then what we're going to do, we're going to cut along this score line here. So from the right hand side all the way along to the middle. Okay. Now I'll get my big trimmer out. Actually, I'll use this one. So this is on the, we're going to score at cut on the 4-inch, on the 8-inch side. We're going to move that down, keep it in line, and we're going to cut this all the way down to the middle of the page there. So just run through this again with you. This section is going to be folded back and burnished, and that's what's going to attach it to the page. Okay, and it's cut, so this is going to be folded back on itself, and if you line it up, give that a good burnish down. And then this one is going to be folded the opposite way. Now, as long as these creases are straight and you get a good burnish on them, so that is how it will fit in your book. Okay, so we will fold that over and fold that down. Just burnish that straight. So again, that is going to be folded over that way and folded down, and that actually, oh, missed a bit. So we need to attach that to the bottom right hand corner of the page. So here's page 5. So this section here is going to be stuck to the bottom right hand corner of the outer of the page. So if I'm confusing anyone, just shout, let me know, and I'll try and go through it again for you. Okay, so I'm going to burnish that in place. Make sure it's straight. And then burnish that down. So it folds up and it folds out. And we're just going to burnish that down so it gets a good adherence. So again, you fold it over, you fold it down, but it will also open up that way. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone, or have I completely confused you all? Ooh, nobody's telling me they're confused yet. That's good. sat looking for my papers, and it's right underneath. So for the base page, I wanted, can't find it, but there we go. Oh, I picked a page out and I can't remember which one it is now. So if you're working along and you've got the kit, one of the things, and I can't remember if I said this the other week, is you can actually cut these out in readiness for using them as the ephemera and for the pockets to stick on in your bookmarks. And the reverse of the front of the pad actually has these words and bits of music. Music is the universal language of mankind, and all these different words that can be cut up and used in your book. And I think I'm going to go with, was it that one? Wasn't that one? I'm going to go with this one. So we know the back page is 5.5 inches square. So I'm going to go just under 5.5 inches, so 5 3/8, and cut that down. And I think I'm going to use the bottom section because you're not going to see a great deal of it. No, I'm going to change mine. I'm going to go with the top. So again, 5 3/8, and trim that off. And then I'm going to ink this up. I've got a few ideas for the next book to do live in class, but because I don't know which one to choose, because I don't do choices very easily, what I've decided is I'm going to put a poll up in the group, or a couple of polls. Do you prefer books portrait or landscape? Do you prefer them square? Do you prefer small ones, big ones? We're not doing round books because that's just too complicated. Although I did see one that I thought was really good, but it could be a bit tricky. So I'm just going to pop this glue on the back of here. And I'm just going to get it the right way up first. I'm just going to pop that down, making sure it's straight. And that's the front of page 5. So I'm going to leave it there when I find my glue lid for this week. I know I've had feedback from somebody who absolutely loved the field notes folio but didn't like the floppy spines. But different people like different things, and I was trying to show you that you don't always have to do a very stiff, sturdy book. So I'm going to pop a poll or a couple of polls in the group, and if you can join in with those polls and put your thoughts and suggestions forward, and we'll see what we can do and try and accompany what try and work together so we can get something that we can all use. So have a lovely weekend. Helen, if you're still here, yes, it would be great to see you on Saturday. Just drop me a line and let me know. And like I say, for those of you who are in the UK, spaces are now open for the 2-day events in October. I had hoped that I could show you the papers we're using, but they've not, well, they've arrived somewhere, I'm just not sure where. So hopefully I'll have them in the next week or so. But they're coming from the States, so it might be a little bit longer than that. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. Enjoy the weather. And I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye.